What's going on, everyone? So, according to Beyond the Mask, Gale will have more screen time this upcoming Scream film as opposed to what you saw in Scream 6. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I know Beyond the Mask is very credible, been in the game for a very long time. I think that they are a credible source, but again, nothing is confirmed, nothing is concrete until it is. These are all just rumors. Things can change. Stuff happens. We've seen, but Gale Weathers having more screen time in this film, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? You no longer have Sam and Tara and the core four. This is supposed to be a more Sydney-focused film. This is supposed to center around her and her family, right? But you need other characters beyond that. Gale Weathers, I mean, she's been a fixture in the Scream franchise since day one, right? And look, I've talked about this heavily. I don't even think it's debatable that Gale Weathers had the best story arc and development out of any of the characters. I mean, you see her from Scream 1 to Scream 2 to Scream 3, 4, 5, 6. The progression and just growth and, unselfishness and things like that. It's like going from just this woman who will cut throats, do whatever she has to do to get and be at the top to, making sacrifices and being a stay-at-home mom, or not mom, but stay-at-home wife, and, all those things to, it's crazy how much she has grown and developed, right? Even more so than Sidney Prescott. And Sidney Prescott is the face of the franchise, right? So, I am and do think Gale makes a world of sense to really kind of be a focal point, to really have her be focused in this film. And it'd be fun to kind of have a Sidney Gale film, right? We kind of thought that was what was going to happen in Scream 5. It didn't really happen, right? I mean, they kind of played it up as if that was going to be the case, but it was just so short-lived, and it was kind of like random and pointless, right? Like Gale and Dewey really had significance in Scream 5, but Sidney didn't need to be in the film at all, really. And then in Scream 6, Gale didn't need to be in that film at all. Like, they should have killed Gale. Like, I've even seen in the comments people that I know are like huge Gale stans that don't want Gale to die, that were like, they should have killed Gale in Scream 6. Right? Like, it made no sense. Right? And then you let us know off camera, oh yeah, by the way, she's alive. Right? It was just so odd how it all played out. The only thing that she did was discover the shrine room, but Dermot Mulroney's character, Detective Bailey, he told you he was going to reveal it, that he was about to reveal it, and then she beat him to it. So even the one thing that Gale did, they were all going to find out anyway. They were all going to discover it anyway. Right? So it was very disappointing what we saw from her in Scream 6. There's nothing to Courtney Cox or Gale. I mean, that's just, she only has the material that she has. She only has what is written to go off of. And, you've seen that now in 2 straight films with the legacy characters. And it brings up the question of, like, do the writers just not know how to write them? It's not their characters. They didn't develop them. They didn't grow them. Right? Like, are they just at a loss for how Gale and Sidney and Dewey's gone? Actually, I thought they did a great job with Dewey, personally. I thought they did a really good job with Dewey, although his story didn't really make sense, right? I thought, okay, let me rephrase it. I don't think the writing for Dewey was good. I think David Arquette's portrayal and then how they focused on him, the way that they focused on him, basically the direction of it, I thought was good. But the story didn't make any sense, right? So to me, it's just like, okay, you have Sidney, you have Gale, you have 2 of the biggest fixtures in the Scream franchise, right? Like you had these other characters that, things went on that now they're no longer a part of this. You wanted to go the safe route and bring back Sidney. That's fine. Let's do that. Okay, I'm on board. I do want them to get off of Sidney sooner rather than later, because I just think at some point, I see so many people that are like, oh, I want Sidney to have her happy ending, right? Like, Sidney's happy. You can't have a happy ending if you're in another 10 films, right? Like, and this is a horror franchise. I mean, the fact that Sidney's not dead yet is crazy. I mean, most horror franchises kill off their final girl at some point, and Sidney's still kicking and taking names and kicking Ghostface butt, right? Like, so again, it's credit to her character, but like, my hope is that with Kevin Williamson on board, it is his characters. He has been along for the ride. He has helped grow and develop them, right? So my hope is, because he's directing this film, he's not writing it, but he's supposed to be hands-on. He's supposed to be in the writer's room. He's supposed to be doing all that stuff. My hope is that he can kind of get a good story flushed out, explained, told, broken down for Gale and Sydney. And it is something that's believable. It makes sense. And it's not just like, okay, Gale was in this film. That was a thing. Like, was it great? Nah, no. She served no point again. And again, just like in Scream 5. I mean, Sydney, literally everything Sydney did, somebody else could have done. Sydney puts the tracker on the car and then literally says she learned it from Gale. And then, like, the only thing that she did that was, like, Sydney-esque was, like, her shooting through the doors and saying she's bored. Right? Like, outside of that, all the action scenes were saving the day and all that stuff. Like, we knew Mindy was alive. Mindy could have done that. And it would have been a better tie-in because of Scream 96, because originally Randy was supposed to be the hero. Originally Randy was supposed to, save the day and kiss the girl. And then they ended up taking it out because they felt that, like Sydney's boyfriend just got killed. Like Randy immediately using that as an opportunity to ask Sydney on a date probably wouldn't go over well, right? So otherwise, Randy would have been the hero and he would have done all that stuff. So, like, it would have been a perfect tie-in for those that know, right? And could have made the connection. You would add all these content creators talking about, did you get the connection with, like, so again, it's just, there's been very lackluster writing for literal characters that are everything to this franchise, right? Gale and Sydney, I want to see them team up. I want to see them actually have significance and do things and kind of approach this and go about this in a particular manner, right? Like, there's so much opportunity there that we've never really gotten to see. I mean, Sydney and Gale went from, like, hating each other to, like, tolerating each other to now, like, all they really have is each other. Sydney has her children and Mark and stuff, but she doesn't have the connection to any of those people the way she does to Gale. And I don't mean just they survived a Ghostface attack, because obviously Mark and Kate did that too. I mean in the sense of, like, the how many times they've gone through it, how many times on the brink of death, how many times they've saved each other, this, that, and the other. Like even Sydney said in Scream 2, like, be kind, she saved their lives. Like, it's just seeing the trajectory from, like, enemies to tolerable acquaintances to actual team up to now they're friends, I think would be such a great growth in character for these two. And I think you could really kind of do a lot in just really kind of cementing and establishing their continued legacy together. But you also could butcher it. You also could just drop the ball entirely and just, it's an absolute mess at that point. And I'm hoping that that's not the case. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. And I'm hoping with Kevin Williamson, they kind of right the ship here a little bit. I'm all for Gale being in this film significance. I'm not against them killing her, especially after Scream 6. It was just kind of like, you should have done that. So it's just kind of like, all right, fine, just take her out, get it over with. But I'd like a little more story, a little more development, a little more time spent before they just take her out, right? Like, I hope that it's not something where it's just like, oh, okay, here she is, okay, now she's dead, right? Like, hope it's like, oh no, like, man, like what they did with Dewey, really kind of made him a focal point, really kind of, he carried the film for a good majority, right? And then lo and behold, you ended up having the death, right? Something like that with Gale, I think would go over well. But again, give me good character development, give me a good story, build these two characters up. They're the legacy characters, they're the final girls, right? I mean, Gale's been in more Scream films than Sydney, right? Like, so again, like, take some pride in these characters. Probably the better way to put it. But Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, do you think that Gale should survive? Do you think they should kill Gale? Do you even want her to have significance in this film? Or do you think, like, time's passed, you know? Like, were you okay with how she was in Scream 6? Again, I wasn't a fan of it, but, you know, that doesn't mean that there's not people out there that were. You know, like, what do you want to see from their dynamic? What do you want to see from their story? How do you want it to kind of play out and be told and kind of all unfold and be unpacked? You know, because again, you talk about characters that have been around for, you know, going on 30 years. You know, we're almost there. We're like, what, a year and a half out from literally 30 years of these two being a part of the franchise. Right? Like, they're gonna be part of the franchise more time than they have not in their life. You know, like, it's crazy. So, you know, just do right by these characters is my point. But again, I would feel whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.